Who said perfect houses have to cost the earth? I believe you can have your dream home in your dream location at a price you can afford, but you're gonna have to get your hands dirty. I'm Charlie Luxton, and this is Building the Dream. Today I'm in the Cotswolds helping Tony and Mandy Slater to leave the home they love and step into the unknown.
Are we panicking? Yes.
Tony's hoping his skills as a project manager will see them through.
We like a challenge.
Yeah, well, I think you've set yourself one.
But a twist of fate thrusts unwilling understudy Mandy into the spotlight.
The plan was you were going to be doing all of that, not me.
Tony thinks she's got what it takes.
You might not be a project manager, but she's been a mum. That's all you need.
But Mandy's more than a little stage struck.
It's absolute total chaos. I'm absolutely petrified.
And although I do my best to help, it's not always appreciated.
Michelangelo was misunderstood. Leonardo. They struggled.
And now Charlie.
For the last 10 years, Mandy and Tony Slater have dreamed of self-building their own home, but they had a problem because they loved living here, on this street, and they didn't want to move. But as it turns out, the answer to their problem was staring them right in the face. Until recently, this hole in the ground had been an overgrown allotment. And while IT project manager Tony and wife Mandy were raising their children in the house opposite, they thought very little about it. But when their thoughts turned to self-building, they began to realise they might not even have to uproot.
All our friends and neighbours are here, so we didn't want to move.
And I'm in the book club, and we're in the film club.
So we wanted to stay roughly where we were and build something a lot warmer and easier to manage for when we get a little older.
But to realise their dream of a low-energy, thermally efficient home, they will have to overcome a very tricky plot. It's a steeply sloping site, butting up against a 19th century mill, which itself is being turned into flats. Tony and Mandy began excavating a week ago, and I've come along to find out about their plans. It's nice and close, isn't it? I mean, proximity is a good thing.
It is.
And it's not a caravan either.
There are some
We've got
benefits.
comforts of our own house.
Wow, okay, but there are some challenges, aren't there? I mean, that's quite a challenging site with that level change.
Yes.
Yes.
So even living opposite, we didn't think there was enough room to build a house until it came on the market, and we sort of jumped down through the brambles, etc., and had a look, and we thought, hang on a minute, we might be able to do this. So
this has been a long-term ambition, has it,
Yes.
to build?
yes,
For Tony it has.
for me, yeah, and you've sort of caught up with the idea, haven't you?
I've been dragged along.
I wonder if Mandy realises what she's being dragged into. This sight would send shivers down any builder's spine. Maybe ignorance is bliss. To contend with the steep bank, Tony and Mandy have decided to build a 3-storey home which steps up the sloping site. On the ground floor will be a master bedroom suite and a guest bedroom. The living area and kitchen will be on the middle floor, and in the roof will be 2 bedrooms for when their 2 grown-up daughters come to visit. They'll also have an upper and lower deck for taking in the evening sun. Well, that's the plan anyway.
Tony's got to find the money because we've still not got the mortgage yet.
Haven't you?
No.
No.
Right.
Are we panicking? Yes.
Right. You're panicking.
We are.
We are panicking.
Because we might have to draw a stop to it all until we've sold the house.
Right.
So
Okay.
it's a wee bit worrying.
That should keep things interesting. At the moment, it's the lump sum of their life savings that's paying for the groundworks, but I can see why they're prepared to take the risk. Avening is a typical medieval Cotswold village surrounded by beautiful countryside with a picturesque centre and a laid-back, friendly feel. The housing is a mixture of chocolate box cottages and the 1970s homes that Tony and Mandy have fallen out of love with. They're hoping that self-building will give them a more efficient and comfortable place to live. How much did you spend on the plot?
Specifically, it was £101,010, which
Was
is
it?
like
Well,
a nice binary number.
Yeah, yes, it is a binary number for the computer program project manager.
Yes.
That's right.
And what is your build budget?
We think at the moment it's going to cost us about 250, 260, something like that.
So I'll put 260.
260, yeah.
What happens if it starts going north of 260,000?
Then we're in a bit of trouble.
They think the house will be worth around 380 when it's done, so if they can steer clear of trouble, they'll be saving themselves around 20 grand. But this build is a lot more about getting the house they want and lowering their future bills than it is about profit. They're trying to do all of this in just 9 months, but it's a tricky one with unusual layouts, so I think there'll be a lot of fine-tuning as they go. The plans all look very clear and concise and rational and logical, but I have one big concern, and that is you've got this lovely big deck out the back of your main living space. That's fantastic. I can imagine spilling out there and having a party. However, if you look in section, I'm concerned about the amount of light you will get in your master bedroom.
Okay.
We were a little worried, but then it's the bigger picture that we need more light on the deck than we do in our bedroom, because in the bedroom we sleep. I
really think this is the wrong way to think about it. The big picture is that for the sake of a deck off the lounge they'll be using a handful of times a year, they'll be depriving their bedroom below of daylight. And mark my words, they will regret it. But maybe there's a compromise. One of the things I would definitely look at doing is right over the top of the big sliding doors is that area there. You could get some toughened glass, some glass into the balcony.
Oh, okay.
Or a metal grate, quite a wide grate. And the second is to actually look at some sort of slightly higher level windows in both sides of these rooms, just so you get morning light into there and evening light into your master bedroom.
Yeah.
as well as these. I think you're going to need as much light as you can.
Very good idea.
I know you sleep in bedrooms mainly, but still, you know, to have a little bit of light in there on a sunny morning is really important.
We'll get on to it.
My final thought is about making a real design statement at the centre of their new home.
Now, the last thing is the stair. I think the stair in this house is great. Right through the middle, 3 stories. I think it could be a real feature. Wonderful feature. And the way I would look at it, if you examine the section, is it's quite clear. They stack above themselves right through the middle of the property. I would do something with vertical kind of slots or rods holding up the stair, or something with a vertical kind of character that draws the eye up through this middle sort of stair shaft and brings light from this light well right down through the house.
Whether they use thin timber slats or maybe metal spindles, it's a real opportunity to give the stacking stairs a singular and spectacular character.
I would certainly try and do something vertical with those, just to emphasise the idea that it's 3 floors. Make the most of that.
Brilliant.
Very interesting. I think, given the complexities of the site, I think 9 months is suitably challenging.
We like a challenge.
Yeah, well, I think you've set yourself one, and I think it would be very nice, and I wish you the best. Good luck.
Thank you very much indeed.
Over the next 3 months, Tony and Mandy throw themselves and their savings into the build and the considerable task of laying the foundations. Because the house steps up the bank, they have 2 slabs to prepare. The larger one of the 2 has to be cut into the hillside, which itself is retained with a 10-foot wall. They get off to a pretty good start, but by the time they're done, the novelty has well and truly worn off.
This last month has been a complete and total nightmare. I tell you what, the bottle of champagne is coming out a bit later on.
That nightmare began when the building inspector spotted the top section wasn't deep enough. It had to be redug, causing untold headaches and expense.
In hindsight, we think that this should have all been dug out in the beginning when we dug this out. And I think it would have saved us a lot more money than what we've had to pay out for this to be done. In fact, it's doubled, I think, our costs of the foundations at the moment.
While these things happen and groundworks are seldom straightforward, a 15 grand overspend at this stage is really bad news. Particularly as they're only projected a 20 grand profit by self-building. To complicate matters, freelancer Tony has just started a new contract which will involve a 3-hour daily commute that he really doesn't fancy.
He will have to stay over during the week and then come back at the weekends, so the general project running of it is going to be down to me, which is also hair-raising.
The day-to-day responsibility for delivering Tony's dream is now squarely on Mandy's shoulders. This isn't exactly what she signed up for.
At the very beginning, the project was really exciting, but at the moment, I feel it's like a great big weight on the top of my head trying to squash me down into the ground.
Coming up, the pressure just keeps on building.
I've got money going out here like nobody's business.
And I get firmly put in my place. I don't like glass powered
It's not your house.
Well, okay, I'm cross. In the Cotswold village of Avening, Tony and Mandy Slater have embarked on a voyage to the bottom of their street. They're building a modern 3-storey home on some wasteland that they've overlooked for 25 years. Self-building could see them save 20 grand compared to buying something ready-made. But they've already overspent by 15 grand on the complicated foundations, and they'll do really well to claw that back. By their own admission, self-building has always been Tony's dream, with Mandy happy to play a supporting role. But with Tony's new job meaning that he is away during the week for the next 6 months, Mandy is no longer along for the ride. She is firmly behind the wheel. It's now down to Mandy to oversee the build, and it's going to be a very steep learning curve.
So why did you have to have the bigger bricks for down here?
Because I ran out of room.
Oh, right, okay.
By June, Tony and Mandy have finally secured a mortgage and received their first lump sum, meaning they can breathe a whole lot easier. The timber frame has arrived, and after just 1 day's work, the specialist contractors have got the ground floor in place. Tony has managed to get a few days off work, and after months of messing around with diggers, they can actually start to imagine living here.
This will be my bed.
Wake up in the morning,
And we see the tree.
doors back.
The fact that the frame is now up, the walls are up, it gives you a real feeling of comfort and
Space.
and the area that we're now going to be living in. It's just so exciting. It's everything all pulling together.
They're both first-timers, and getting to this stage is a credit to them, particularly Mandy.
You might not be a project manager, but she's been a mum, so that's good practice for any project manager. You can tell people off, you can tell them what to do, tell them what not to do. That's all you need.
And cooking. Lots of cooking.
With the timber frame contractors having travelled from Norfolk, Mandy and Tony decided to put them up at their place, with all their meals thrown into the deal.
We've got your bacon and your hash brown rolls. Come and dig in.
Thank you very much.
That's all right, you're welcome.
We had lamb last night, our bacon this morning. Barbecue tonight, innit?
Barbecue tonight, yeah?
What else could you ask for?
It's the mothering instinct coming out of me again. Yes, they're good lads.
A month later, and Mandy's adopted brood have flown the nest, leaving behind them a neatly assembled frame and 2 happy customers.
We've got a house. Hooray! It's wrapped in silver foil to keep it fresh. That's all going to be covered up fairly soon with all the cladding and block work and render.
Now we've got the roof and here we go.
Tony and Mandy are going for an energy-efficient home, and this membrane is a part of the plan, wrapping the whole house in a foil blanket. The roof will also be thermally high-performing. These zinc panels have been pre-folded, and the roofing team are busy sealing them together. From here, the most important milestones will be getting watertight and then plasterboarded, at which point they'll get their next lump sums from the mortgage company and be able to breathe a little easier as they're rapidly running out of money.
It's all about cash flow, and it's very difficult. So even though we had a lump sum to start with, that soon got swallowed up with fees and the initial build and the overrun on the foundations. So that takes all of the money out of the system.
I said to Tony, I've got money going out here like nobody's business. Help.
To tide them over while they wait for the next chunk of mortgage money, Tony and Mandy are depending on the generosity of family to keep this build solvent. Their cash woes not helped by failing to sell their existing home over the road.
We're hoping that the house will sell in the next couple of months so that it will release the money to do the final intricate pieces that we actually want in the house. But unfortunately we're getting about 1 customer a month to look round the house, so it's not very many, which is very disappointing because I want to start furnishing it. I've got lots of ideas and things that I've been looking and sussing out, and I just want to get them, but I can't.
Another month passes and no one has come to see the old place. But at the new build, the roof's finished. And on a warm summer's day, they do have at least one very curious visitor hoping to be shown around.
Right, so they're out of the ground, which is great news because I know they've had a real, well, a bit of a nightmare getting to this stage. So the fact the frame's up, well, hopefully that bodes well for getting to the finish line. Hopefully the worst is behind them.
It's a pretty complicated building, stepping up the bank over 3 levels. You enter on the middle floor, which will be the main living area.
So, how are you guys finding it? Because I know you've had a bit of a rough journey with the foundations, getting out of the ground, getting to this stage.
It's been quite a nightmare, but I think we're coming out the other end now.
Yeah, you've had a bit of a stressful time, haven't you?
I've had a very stressful
I've been working
time.
away, so I'm fine. Sadly, I have to leave Mandy to pick up the pieces.
Which is not fun.
Is that, and that's
It's
not,
not.
that wasn't your
That
plan?
wasn't the plan at all. The plan was you were going to be doing all of that, not me.
I feel really sorry for Mandy. I love building. I sort of know what I'm doing. I still find it very stressful. But she's a complete amateur and clearly a little overwhelmed. Nevertheless, she seems to be doing pretty well. Their first floor family living area is really shaping up. This has turned into a very good space, hasn't it? I mean, I love the fact you've got this one big floor that's just pretty much open.
We're really pleased with it. It's sort of exactly as we planned it, so we're really pleased.
The kitchen wrapping around here.
Yeah, kitchen here.
Starts and goes around here with the window with the sink and the units down here and a breakfast bar.
Island.
Going down here.
And then dining, sitting.
That's
correct.
With a log burner in the corner.
Okay.
And
TV screen coming down from the...
TV screen coming down from the ceiling.
Yeah. Go have my cinema screen.
Of course you do. The lower and upper floors are both bedroom levels, which will be connected by a central stacked staircase. The ones I'm heading down are just temporary. And when I saw their plans, I thought they should really accentuate this feature. What about the idea that we discussed about having this sort of nice balustrade that sort of runs the whole 2 stories?
It's going to look like a cage if we do that. I don't want to do it.
It's not going to look like a cage.
It will look like a cage.
So my idea, I remember, was rods or flat iron running up all 2 stories.
But it wouldn't, because you'd have to have joins and then they'd move around and
We looked at it seriously and then discounted it.
I'm afraid.
We were
And what are you doing?
Glass.
I don't like glass power.
It's not your house.
Well, okay. No. Okay. I'm cross. Is this your bedroom in here?
Yes, this is our bedroom in here.
Well, at least they've not left me out in the cold completely. As in the master bedroom, they're going for the slot windows that I suggested to make sure a bit of light can get into what could be a very dark space. On the top floor are 2 bedrooms, nominally for their grown-up girls, and what should be another lovely outdoor space. So this is the top deck, isn't it? Little bedrooms.
2 bedrooms.
Oh, this is a real sun trap, isn't it?
Yeah, this is going to be excellent. That's going to be a window door. And
Right.
we can sit out here in the evenings, have a gin and tonic, and chill.
This is going to be a real bonus. I mean, every level is going to have sort of an outdoor space.
Outdoor area.
And then we'll have some artificial grass of some description
Or
to...
something. Yes.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Just give it a bit
Give it
of
some
colour.
colour.
Maybe.
Just to break it up.
I'm not convinced about that.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm being very difficult today, aren't I?
Well, being
Just
very
because we didn't take your
Suggestion up on the
your
stairs.
up, just got the
I just think they're better off sticking to a nice natural deck, easy to clean and a bit more honest. Well, I have to say, it is certainly coming together. I mean, this is a great deck.
Yeah, we're really pleased with it, aren't we?
Yeah.
Building on such a tricky site brings lots of problems. So to help boost Tony and Mandy's confidence, I'm sending them to another self-build which conquered the same kind of challenges.
I love the roof with the zinc coming down, and the windows are just like the windows that we're going to have at the front.
And the white render as well.
In 2014, company director Amanda Iville and her husband Steve converted this 1960s bungalow.
Hello.
Carefully extending the foundations to deal with their own sloping site.
Wow, this is absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
The impressive ground floor is open and inviting. To the rear there's a lounge area tucked away, and there's also a separate snug offering an escape and a view onto the garden. But it's the kitchen diner that feels like the heart of the home, where the high gloss white units are finished off with matte quartz surfaces.
I did think about having a polished concrete, which seems to be quite, there's lots of it around, and it does look amazing. But I did quite a bit of research on it, and I read that most of the time it will eventually crack. It's a case of when it cracks, not if it cracks. And I really don't want to be doing this again in a couple of years' time. You know, I knew what I liked, and it was making what I could get into what I really liked.
On the first floor they have 2 bedrooms, a family bathroom and a master bedroom suite.
That view is absolutely to die for. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
I know.
It's like a picture, living picture.
It's just, it is.
Floor-to-ceiling glazing is a nice feature, but can cause a problem when it comes to blinds or curtains.
You can't put blinds up there because then they're in the ceiling, and that just looks a bit random. So that's why we did that.
A recessed curtain track is a pretty nifty solution. This one happens to be electric, so they don't even have to get out of bed to open the curtains. This isn't a huge house, so Amanda and Steve had to think carefully about how to make the most of their space.
We had the pocket door put in so that we would have more room, so the door isn't opening into here or into here.
Really good idea.
And again, the same sort of principle. We didn't have a tray or anything. It just goes straight through.
Oh, I just love it. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? Absolutely beautiful, all of it.
Just like you.
Ah, do you hear that, Mandy? You're beautiful, like a bathroom. This place has got pulses racing. Amanda's secret: stick to your guns.
Just make sure that it's just, you know, things that you like, really, because, you know, I said everyone's got an opinion about what you should do and what floors you should have and what tiles and
Yes,
and it's,
yes.
you know, you live in it, so it's got to be, what
Our
you
dream.
want. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, definitely.
But coming up, Mandy struggles to make ends meet.
Well, let's put it this way. If the loan comes due next week, I can pay you next week.
And the stress starts to get the better of her.
Tony, I don't want to look.
In the Cotswold village of Avening, Tony and Mandy Slater are building a new 3-storey house overlooking their home of 25 years. They hope to build it in just 9 months, but having struggled to get out of the ground, they've been playing catch-up ever since. Your plan was to be finished by the end of August.
It was.
Going for the end of October.
Yeah, currently
Okay.
the party is on the plan for the end of October.
The party's on the plan.
Yeah, party plan.
Finishing in 12 weeks is very ambitious, and speeding things up will only put even more pressure on their already stretched budget. You bought the plot for just over 100?
Yeah.
Because your build budget was about 260.
That's right. So I looked at the figures this morning and we're currently looking about 320 on the forecast.
Ouch. But Tony is building in more contingency after the groundworks shock. Hopefully they'll never have to use it. Going over budget is something you can sort of afford to do.
Yeah, we'd rather not go too much over budget because we know that the value of the house has probably got a ceiling.
I think that's a good way to think about it. And if they can keep a lid on spending, then they could have a lovely house on their hands.
So we're pleased with how it's coming along.
Yeah, well, good luck. Good luck. Here's to the party at the end of October.
Yes, which is about...
With fireworks.
Oh,
With
absolutely.
fireworks.
Yeah. Not too near the house though, because it's timber framed.
Yeah. By the end of August, the first fix electrics are going in and the sidewall is being clad. More importantly, the windows are arriving, so if today goes well, they'll finally be watertight. Mandy is understandably a bag of nerves.
I've been up all night worrying about it, and now here we are, lorry and crane and windows and fitters, and it's absolute total chaos, and oh my god, I'm absolutely petrified.
And rightly so. It's a small plot, so getting the windows in position is tricky for contractor James and his team.
The windows are going to get craned right over the top, drop down on the deck, taken apart off the pallets, and then slotted down into place. What could possibly go wrong?
Typically, the most expensive glazing, 8 grand of windows, has to go to the rear.
Oops, steady. Steady. Oh, they're very well organised.
You got a yellow one, I'll get a red one.
So far, so good. But now for the hard part.
This is a tricky one. So we've got scaffolding all along here. So they've got to lift the windows from in the back garden over the scaffolding and then swap them in this hole.
So this is going to be exciting, isn't it? This is going to be the nerve-wracking. This is the most difficult window of all.
If anything goes wrong, it could take weeks to get watertight, delaying their next lump sum payment.
Okay, straight up, gently.
I don't know about this. Please be careful. Please don't break it.
Broken bigger ones than this, haven't we?
It's a very narrow target, but the team have nerves of steel.
Tony, I don't want to look.
And the first pain is through. With that done, Mandy once again senses it's time to feed everyone.
I think it's time for a bit of a sausage roll, don't you?
After all, this is the house that Snacks built. One month later, and while the windows are all in place and the rendering is underway, Tony and Mandy's finances are once again in a fix. To get the next lump sum from the mortgage company, they need to be plasterboarded. But first fix electrics and plumbing have to be done first.
It's been very stressful trying to keep the payments going for the trades because we've actually virtually run out of money at the moment. I've got the electricians, I've got the plumbers. They're all in trying to do their bits and pieces while I've got my actual builders trying to do the plastering, and they're all tripping over one another. It's not an ideal situation because they know that they can't be paid until the plasterboarding's been done.
Tony and Mandy have applied for a short-term bridging loan. While they're waiting on that, Mandy has an army of unpaid trades to placate.
Well, let's put it this way. If the loan comes through, which I've applied for, comes through next week, I can pay you next week.
Happily, there is some good news. They've accepted an offer on their old house, so by December their cash worries could be over. The big question is whether they've got the funds to get the house finished before then.
It is really exciting, but it's also very nerve-wracking, and I've had a few tears today, and I expect there'll be a few more before the end of the week is out.
If there's one thing that might put Mandy in a better mood, it's discussing the interior fit-out. Hopefully I can give them both a few ideas to hold on to when the going gets tough.
You're moving on to the next phase of the project, aren't you? The kind of internal finishes.
Best bit.
The best bit. The bit you'd probably be looking forward to.
Definitely.
Not all the bit before, which you've ended up doing.
No.
Recently, Tony and Mandy visited Amanda Iville's place in Southampton. They liked her gloss white kitchen and airy living space. They're planning to do the same in their open kitchen area, as well as going for white walls and possibly light coloured wood flooring. But I'm not sure that's the right way to go.
I think like a dark wood floor would be really good.
To give us some depth.
I think it would sort of help anchor the room somehow. You know, it could get quite wishy-washy and airy and spacey.
I was just a bit concerned about having a dark floor. I know there's a lot of white around, but I was just worried it might bring things in.
You've got windows down the side, you've got roof lights over the top of the stair, you've got open tread stairs, you've got windows from the front, you've got massive south-facing windows. I don't think light is going to be an issue in that.
If they do have a darkness issue, it's with the bedrooms on the lower ground floor, which you access from the kitchen area above. But I've got a plan.
I would be tempted to make the wall colour in that bottom hallway before you get to your bedroom and the guest bedroom very dark.
Really?
Very dark. Almost as dark as I could possibly go.
Really?
Yeah. Going down that stairs, you'd feel like you're going into the bowels of the earth. It would become a really sort of dramatic experience, and I think you need to give drama. Then, when you walk
into your bedroom, which is light, even though it's not a super bright room, because it's got the balcony sticking over the top, you know, it will suddenly feel like a really bright room because you've been through this very dark space and the eye goes very dark, it's brighter, oh, this is quite a bright room. So it's about playing tricks on the mind, and I think there's a real opportunity there.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, we like that.
Very good idea.
Great. And while they seem agreeable,
Then, just bear with me because I think I've got something here you're going to like. If you then put long, sort of either metal or wooden strips that ran, the way, this is really good, all the way up through the space, it would draw the eye up through the building and it would just sort of create this lovely event.
Yes, Charlie.
What do you think?
No.
It would not. I thought I'd give it another go.
Worth a try, but...
If this was done right, you would be like, wowzerbergs, that's amazing. But listen, Michelangelo was misunderstood. Leonardo. They struggled.
And now Charlie.
It's so hard.
it's now October, and with plasterboarding finished, Tony and Mandy have just received another chunk of mortgage cash, and the pressure is easing. But with just 2 weeks to go until the fabled moving in party, they've had to shift the goalposts.
It's not going to be ready to move into because we need the sale of the house. We need the money from that to be able to finish the house actually off. But they're preparing some rooms for us to be able to store the furniture. And then when we get the money, we'll say all systems go and we'll get everybody in for 4 weeks. So we're hoping that we will be in for Christmas. Fingers crossed.
Those continuing cash flow problems force them to strip back to only the essential tasks, and that's why they're running late. But now confidence is high, and despite the occasional hiccup,
We've got one black oven and one silver oven.
Well, that's even more surprising.
it all seems to be going well.
It's looking really good. Quite pleased with it. The boy's done good.
He's working hard. They get sausages later on, if he's really good.
If they do go over budget, then I reckon the spend on sausages alone will have something to do with it. But after months of anxiety, they're measuring up for soft furnishings and maybe just spying the finishing line. Especially when a month later, the cantilevered stairs go in.
Wow, it's certainly taken shape. Are you sure that's safe to sit on? It looks a bit bouncy to me.
And for Tony, it's a moment of vindication.
Yeah, I've always fancied cantilevered stairs with all the glass balustrades and everything. Despite Charlie trying to talk us out of it, I think this is going to work well. But yeah, it's been my baby.
Still to come, the house gets its crowning glory.
It's glimmering and it's shivering. It'll just be the bee's knees.
And I get to see the whole place finished.
Your house is looking very, very handsome.
Thank you very much.
Lovely.
Welcome to our humble abode.
That's nice.
the Cotswolds, Tony and Mandy have been battling with their 3-storey self-build for the past 11 months.
Tony and Mandy have had to jump through all sorts of hoops to keep the cash flowing on their build, and at times it has been a real struggle. But they've finally sold their old house, and very soon they'll be living on the other side of the street, looking back at it.
It's the day before completion, and Tony and Mandy are busy moving all their stuff out of the house that's been their home for the past 25 years. The problem is that the new place won't be finished for some time.
Sean the builder has said under no circumstances can you move in, but we had to move out, so we've got to go somewhere. And it's only a couple of weeks, so he'll have to live with it. He'll be fine.
These are exciting times, even if it's not how Mandy imagined it.
Plastering won't be finished, the stairs won't be finished, but we should be okay. We can get the heat recovery system working, the log fire's in there and working, but it'll be alright. We'll be able to camp out in the new house for Christmas.
Ready?
We're ready.
In the build-up to Christmas, they get the heat recovery system up and running.
We've got a green light.
Should we read the instructions?
No.
The bath arrives, and the front door goes in, which all makes for a comfy festive period with their daughters in a nearly finished home. Before they start ticking off the final jobs from Tony's to-do list in the new year.
149 tasks to do, but we're down to
110.
110. But we've knocked a few off since.
But we've knocked a few off yesterday,
Yeah.
and I think when the ceiling goes up today,
We could be down to 99 tasks, and the bitumen ain't one. So. Cultural reference.
Thankfully, the only wrapping on site today is gonna be left to the professional. Today they're having a stretched ceiling fitted. It's a key feature that they've been looking forward to getting done.
we had this in our previous house, and I just really liked the practicalities of it all, and it looked good as well, and different.
The lights all shine off it and reflect, and I think we got 28 of them in this part of the house. So it'll look really nice, I think.
The 80 square metres of PVC plastic is pulled into position and then clipped into runners around the perimeter. To keep it pliable, the room has to be kept above 35 degrees. When it cools down, it will stiffen into position. It's cost them $3,500, but they've got no regrets.
I'm really glad we saved the pennies to get it done, because it's glimmering and it's shivering. I can't wait for it to be finished. It'll just be the bee's knees. Ah! That's hot. And the coat's coming off, but I'm not taking anything else off.
By March, everyone's had a chance to cool down, and I head over to Tony and Mandy's to get a look at their finished home.
Now take a look at this. I really like this.
I think it's got a really nice conversation going with both the mill behind, these sort of 60s housing around it, but also the local area. There's lovely textures. The Cotswold stone, the stained timber cladding, the nice aluminium roof, and this off-white render. It's simple, considerate, contemporary architecture, the kind of thing that big developers should be looking to. I think it's lovely.
Tony and Mandy's dream was to create a stylish, contemporary home in which to enjoy the next chapter of their lives. And I'm keen to see how they've gone about it.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hello.
Very well, how are you?
Your house is looking very, very handsome.
Thank you very much.
Lovely.
Welcome to our humble abode.
That's nice, isn't it? This ceiling's extraordinary. The reflection of the stretched fabric, the way that tree kind of runs up and reflects.
It always gives you a double height with the mill. It looks huge.
It's a brilliant touch, so much more than a mere flourish. It makes this room work, bouncing light right into the middle of the floor plan. So whether they're preparing food, enjoying a meal, or putting their feet up, there's never a dull moment. I was concerned that all that high gloss and white paint would make it feel a bit too ethereal, but I'm pleased to see they've gone for dark flooring to bring things back down to earth.
And it's a lovely contrast, you know, between the lightness and the whiteness of the space. It sort of gets anchored by the darkness of the floor.
Yes, yes.
And that's exactly what you said before we did it.
Is
so
it?
At least you're consistent.
Well, I just reiterate this. I've only got 4 ideas. You know, you've got to dress them up in different hats and just push them out again.
But when it came to my idea about the stacking central stairs, Tony and Mandy stuck to their guns and have gone for a cantilevered open tread staircase with a glass balustrade.
It's quite nice.
It goes with the whole reflective ceiling.
I like the way it does this. I like the curves, and I like the way that it ties in with that sheet.
Yeah.
I mean, I still think the top to floor thing would have been nice.
Well, no.
But you know, you can take a horse to water.
Can't make it drink.
Can't make it drink. It's lovely to have this massive expanse of glazing, isn't it?
We're delighted with it, aren't we?
Yeah, that was a big success, I think. We always wanted a big glass wall, and we got one.
They've not wasted an inch here. The window is floor to ceiling, corner to corner. They've even recessed the blind rollers to get as much light into the room as possible and maximise that view of the refurbished mill.
That view is wonderful. I mean, it's really unusual, isn't it?
The feel you get is like apartment living, because we're slightly elevated and we're looking out over flats effectively. It just feels like you're in a New York apartment in the Cotswolds.
Yeah.
But of course this is no apartment. This is the middle floor of 3, and the challenge downstairs was always going to be how to manage the light, or lack of it, particularly when coming from the lovely bright space above.
Oh, look at this. So really, you've gone dark down here, very dark.
Embrace the darkness, you said. So
Well, it works. It makes it pops really nicely with the white woodwork.
Yeah, and the grey carpet lifts it. And we're would have liked it.
You like it?
Yeah.
I do really like
I think it's just a really nice sort of enclosing experience, and the whole idea was, and let's see if it's worked, that
We go out
into the light.
The lights.
That really works, doesn't it?
Really does.
Because these rooms were sort of struggling for daylight, weren't they?
Yeah, because they're quite low, and the overhanging deck as well. So that would have restricted the light still further.
Another of my suggestions was to put some glass into the deck above. They've not quite got round to it yet, but when you move these boards out of the way, you can see that it does the trick.
Look, I can see light onto the bed. Is that from the slot in the
That's
deck?
from the
that's
slot
from the
in the
slot.
deck coming through.
So it works.
So it
That
works.
works.
Thank you for that.
That works.
Yes.
That's nice, isn't it?
We
Yeah.
appreciate that input.
And it reflects to the back of the room as well, which was an unexpected bonus.
Off the bedroom, they've got a luxurious and spacious ensuite, while next door there's an office stroke bedroom. On the top floor, they've got 2 more bedrooms and the top deck, complete with artificial grass as promised. For a small plot, they've done very well to create so much external space. And when they retreat indoors, they'll be very cosy indeed. They wanted a home that was more thermally efficient, and they've heated the whole house so far with just the underfloor heating in the downstairs bathroom, with a bit of help from the wood burner.
I think a lot of people get really hung up on the idea that, oh, my bills are going to be really low. Yes, they will, but actually, the real benefit is the comfort.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's really important to kind of really kind of great thing to understand when you're going into a project like this.
70s built houses, they're just full of leaks, but they don't seem to be much better now.
No.
So it doesn't cost a lot more to build it properly, and the benefits just for the environment, we're not in it to save polar bears, we were in it to make it low maintenance
And
comfortable. Yeah, and we've achieved that.
Tony and Mandy set out with a build budget of 260k. They overspent by 15 grand on foundations straight off the bat. But actually that was all. They've come in at £275,000 plus the 101 they spent on the plot.
So you spent 376 roughly thousand, 380,000 quid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your original valuation for was about 380. Wasn't
It was.
Yeah, so
Yes.
we thought we might break even. We hoped we wouldn't have any negative equity. So we had it valued last week, and the estate agent said, as we are now, no less than 425.
50 grand's worth of equity is handsome reward for what's been a tough year's work. Some people are born to self-build, but not Mandy. She's had self-building thrust upon her, but she hasn't done half bad.
I think she's done incredibly well, considering I'm a trained project manager, but you've never been exposed to that before, have you? So I'm incredibly proud. And it's interesting what you say about being proud. When people walk through the door for the first time, they almost invariably say, wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it's not what you expect in a sort of suburban environment.
Just want to glow about it
I
and
think you've
brag
earned
about
that.
it.
I think you've
I'm
got-
not that sort of person.
But you've earned that glow, you've earned that brag, you know, you work really hard,
I've always felt that there was a very strong kind of unity behind this project.
Yeah, we've got different strengths and we sort of help each other out.
I think you've always pulled together the team, and I actually think the house that you've created here is really right for its location, and I think it's undoubtedly contemporary, it's modern, it's very sustainable. It's just a well considered, nice house, and it's the kind of thing that we should build more of in this country.
I think
really
so.
is.
I agree.
Yes.
Next time, I'm in the Scottish borders, helping to build a very unusual house.
I think it's obviously just every little girl's dream. I've got my ponies in my house.
And it's going to be a big one. It's massive! The trouble is, by the time they realise how big...
I measured the height of the house and the width of the house based on my riding arena.
Yeah, I normally measure things with a ruler and off a drawing.
They're already in a world of trouble.
How are you doing with your budget?
Blown out the water entirely.
Really?
Run out of money.
If you're building the dream and would like to take part in the next series, visit channel4.com/take part for more information.
A 5-part gripping Danish crime drama, Dictator Crime Reporter, starts on Friday at 9 here on More4 as part of the Walter Presents collection. Coming up next, 999, What's Your Emergency?